Michael is a bright and pop-y take on the early life of Michael Jackson, contrasting his rising fame with his struggles to escape his father's influence. It depicts the early career of Michael Jackson, tracking his poor beginnings outside Detroit, the early success he found in his family band, and his breakout success as a solo artist. Juliano Cruz-Valde and Jaafar Jackson portray Michael at different periods in his life, charting the ascent of the musician's career even while he tries to escape from under the thumb of his father/manager, Joseph Jackson. For the most part, the film follows the typical biopic structure, but does it with flourish. It's largely about highlighting the highs and lows of Michael's early career while avoiding some of the more controversial aspects of the pop icon's legacy. It all plays out as part of an underlying story about coming into one's own and how the search for a proper father figure influenced Michael's life. Michael is rooted in the initial arc of Michael Jackson's career, highlighting his struggles to escape the influence of his father and first manager, Joseph. The film lays the groundwork for this dynamic early on, where Michael's small moments of defiance are met with verbal and physical abuse, setting their connection up as the film's primary conflict. Michael versus Joseph is the core of Michael. The divide between Michael Jackson and his father is the core of Michael. As Michael grows more famous, Joseph tries to keep the family identified as a singular group, and Michael under his thumb. This push and pull leads to direct confrontation multiple times, even if Joseph restrains himself from assaulting Michael once his son is a grown man. A major underlying theme of Michael is the focus on the young artist's clear desire for a healthy role model. He quickly bonds with music producer Berry Gordy and even hugs him after Berry teaches him some fundamentals about sound mixing. As Michael gets older, he creates a similar parental-coded bond with his bodyguard, Bill Bray. Michael's positive working relationship with fellow musician Quincy Jones also gives the vibes of a paternal bond as Jones offers life advice and suggestions on his music. One of the underlying themes of the film is the impact, importance, and even the potential trap of family. Michael loves his mother and siblings, but his big emotional arc in the film is his final break from his father's influence as he becomes a solo act. After backing down in previous confrontations or trying to sever the connection through intermediaries like his lawyer, John Branca, Michael finally tells Joseph that they are done in the film's climactic moment. Michael Jackson's disconnect from others but deep empathy is a big part of Michael. One of the more intriguing elements of the film's portrayal of Michael Jackson is the disconnect they give him. The musician is portrayed as someone who doesn't bond easily with people his age, which implies that it is a result of Joseph's rigorous rehearsal/performance schedule. On top of that, the fame Michael receives from becoming a global superstar makes regular friendships. Even his family can have trouble understanding him, as his brothers are shown playing basketball and talking about women while Michael goes to toy stores and plays Twister with his pet chimp, Bubbles. This disconnect notably doesn't extend to children and animals, speaking to the film's portrayal of Michael's innocent, and somewhat stunted, perspective on the world. This sense of youthful inspiration is also shown to be a boon to Michael's creativity, often serving him well with creative works. It's his love for horror films and Fred Astaire that inspires Thriller, while Beat It is a wholehearted effort to cool the conflict between the Bloods and the Crips. Michael's connection to his youthful side plays an important role in signifying how different Michael is from others and how that ends up informing his artistry. What happens to Michael Jackson after the ending of Michael, Glenn Wilson/copyright Lionsgate/courtesy Everett Collection? Michael ends on one of the biggest possible high notes for Michael Jackson. On a world tour and finally out from his father's thumb, Michael is shown to fully embrace his stardom and talent to play sold-out shows around the globe. However, the movie also lays the seeds for many of the controversies that would follow the artist. A subplot of the film sees Michael struggling with his appearance, seemingly spurred on in his youth by Joseph's insults. Michael gets a nose job during the course of the film and later learns he has vitiligo, a condition where the pigmentation of someone's skin can become lighter. Michael's efforts to change himself and conceal his condition would become more drastic over time, with some in his life even suspecting he eventually became addicted to changing his appearance through procedures and surgeries. Michael suggests this stems from the influence of Joseph and the resulting idea that Michael took to heart that he needed to be perfect. Michael notably never addresses the most serious allegations against Michael Jackson, which saw the singer accused of child sexual abuse repeatedly. This scandal tarnished the pop star's reputation in many circles. Although Jackson was never convicted of a crime, the public perception of the artist was radically changed by this event. Since then, a number of accusers have come forward over the years, although each of these accusations has been denied by Jackson or his estate. That context does add some queasiness to the film, however, as it makes Jackson's easy friendship with children and clear thoughts about a Neverland of his own more difficult to embrace. Documentaries like Leaving Neverland explore that chapter of Michael Jackson's life in far greater detail, highlighting the allegations, while others, like Square One, Michael Jackson, have been released that argue for Jackson's innocence. Jackson remained one of the world's biggest music stars despite these controversies before passing away from cardiac arrest at age 50 due to a medical overdose. By keeping the plot of Michael firmly set on the rise of Michael Jackson instead of his full story, the filmmakers avoid having to confront some of the thorniest issues regarding the star and his legacy. It allows the film to be firmly rooted in celebrating the art without delving into the more complex parts of his persona and legacy. The true meaning of Michael. Michael is ultimately a coming-of-age story, depicting Michael Jackson's efforts to become his own man while contending with